Practical ways of engaging students in online course modules. I would start by thinking about activities that encourage deeper learning. And examples of those include discussion, peer review, case studies. It could even be recorded guest lectures. I mean, there are a variety of activities to choose from. But the point is that you want your students to be involved in more active forms of learning in an online environment. And all of those activities that I've just described lend themselves more to active learning, and they also are particularly suited when you have more complex, open-ended kinds of issues and questions to explore, where, I mean, there may be best answers, but not one right answer.
One of the best ways to encourage students to become engaged in an online course or an online environment is to be authentic. And I think that could happen in a number of ways. The engagement could happen learner to content, and in that way you might have them read something or watch a video online, but then ask them a real life scenario and ask them to actually apply it. So be practical and be authentic. If you're asking students to work together to solve something, give them a real problem to work on. So however theoretical the course content might be, bring it back to what it means to them and be really authentic and practical and contextual. Even if it's something that they're not going to be doing tomorrow, it might be something that they're doing later in their training program or in their professional life, but try to make those connections to something, and I think that encourages them to see the meaning in it and really try to understand it on a deeper level.
Engagement in online courses is a very difficult issue, online presence and engagement. But I think the best way to do this is to model desired behaviors. So for example, if an instructor wants students to interact in online discussions and like provide valuable input, then the instructor needs to be present online himself or herself. And I always say you start with your language. So your language needs to be very clear, very concise, and very friendly, student-friendly. So it will not be enough to say, post your responses by midnight of September 17th. So the instructor needs to actually provide more detailed instructions, refer to resources that students could use, and maybe even post a sample of a good quality student response. It will take time. And then instructor needs to be online all the time. So if students get an idea that an instructor logs on to a site like once a week, then most likely there will be no interaction or no too little interaction, and probably the post will be very poor quality, just because students know that nobody is watching. Instructors doesn't read the post, then why to put effort and time into something that is not going to be graded? So the best way would be for an instructor to be very involved and to be present online and to be very interactive with students.
Of course, engagement is pretty critical for learning, and I think that there are a couple of things that are pretty important in that regard, particularly in the online portions of hybrid or online courses. And one of those is called instructor presence. And you can help achieve that in a number of ways. A lot of it really is communicating with your students, and that may start with a welcome message or video. You probably will want to provide regular updates and announcements to help students stay focused and know what's coming, know when things are due, and so forth. The idea of frequent feedback is important, and that is both formative feedback and summative feedback. I think another particularly critical component is the idea of a community, and that the students are belonging to this community. It can be, again, that can be achieved in a number of ways, but mostly it involves students interacting. So you can help them start to get to know one another at the beginning of the course by providing some icebreaker activities. You can ask them to work collaboratively to achieve some goal or create some product. online discussions can be a great source of that community building. And so again, promoting student interactions and that instructor presence, I think, are very important in creating a sense of engagement for your students.